We finally have some new information on cross progression and new game modes coming into Dead by Daylight thanks to the recent player satisfaction survey. Kings and queens, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day and you're doing well. Recently, Dead by Daylight have put out a player satisfaction survey, which I'll leave down below, and I encourage you guys to fill out and give them your honest feedback about how you're feeling about the game. In the survey, however, we got some pretty juicy information talking about not only cross progression, but potential new game modes that we could see. Now, I'm going to talk about the entire survey in a whole different video. There's actually a lot of different points I want to touch on and really speak my mind on a couple of things, especially because I recently seen Otts put out a fantastic video that kind of summarizing how a lot of people, including myself, have been feeling about Dead by Daylight in general. So I'll touch on that in tomorrow's video. For now, let's talk about all of the interesting things that we have seen. First of all, one of the things that they spoke about in this was cross progression. Essentially, if you didn't know, this isn't necessarily Dead by Daylight's fault that cross progression isn't happening. They've wanted cross progression to happen for a very long time, but it's not necessarily up to them. It has to be agreed upon on Sony and Microsoft, aka PlayStation and Xbox, for this to happen. The big kicker is that both companies pretty much don't want people essentially to get free DLCs because they won't be making any money. It took games like Apex Legends, for example, such a long time to get it, where they recently just got cross progression in their games, and we know that's a AAA game and it's a huge title. So for Dead by Daylight, it's always going to be an uphill battle. With that being said, in the player satisfaction survey, the information that we got basically said, when playing Dead by Daylight on multiple platforms, cross progression enables a player to access gameplay content from one platform to another. For example, your character levels from PC and PS5 will be connected. The next question asked, how interested in cross progression would you be if it was only make it so that the characters are only shared across platforms when purchased in-game but not as DLC? AKA meaning if you bought the content in-game itself, meaning you used your Auric cells to buy those characters, your shards to buy those characters, or your cosmetics, etc., you'll keep those. But if you went ahead and bought them on the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store or the Steam Store, it won't be able to correlate into the game. And they want to know, are you interested in this? Which is a clear indicator that Microsoft or Sony, which in all honesty, I think it's more on Sony's part. They are always the ones that are more difficult with these things. They're having a problem that if people have all the DLCs, let's say on Steam or whatever the case may be, and then you get all of that levels coming in from PlayStation, you essentially won't need them anymore and you won't buy any of their DLC, thus them not making any money. So what Dead by Daylight's trying to say here is, listen, there's really no push or pull. They're not going to budge. So would you guys still want cross progression if you're not able to get all the DLCs that you bought in the store, but only the things and the cosmetics that you bought in the shop? It really sucks, but honestly, I think this is better than nothing. I know that there's tons of people that maybe have migrated from console onto PC. They have so much stuff on console and they would love to have it on PC. You may be even held off on buying DLCs or cosmetics just to save the money because you already have it and it doesn't make sense to buy a duplicate. So it would suck for those people. However, I think if they do incorporate this and gradually try to build to that point, it'll be better. We've been talking about cross progression pretty much since, cross play was in the game. So hopefully they still are able to work out some type of deal with Sony or Microsoft, but this is rather disappointing to see. I know Dead by Daylight's trying their best when it comes down to this, and Sony/Microsoft just won't budge. So how do you guys feel about this? I guess this is up to you guys. Fill out the survey and give them your honest opinion. I'm sure if they have enough feedback on this, they'll decide if they're going to bring cross progression in or not. So if you have DLCs and you bought them on the Microsoft or PlayStation Store, would you be okay with it not having those, but having your level account and your cosmetics? That question is up to you guys. Now, I want to talk about the new game modes, essentially, that were spoken about on this survey as well. So we know Dead by Daylight has been play testing a lot of different game modes. In our recent interview with Matthew Cote, he said that he's seen a lot of these and he's pretty excited and that some of the OG players will be super pumped up for this as well. So here's a first look at what a lot of these new game modes are potentially going to look like. Let's start off with the 5v5. So this is basically going to be two teams, 4 survivors and a killer will face off to control specific generators. You capture the generators by moving the generator progress towards your team's side in like a tug-of-war gameplay. So we've seen a lot of other games do this, kind of like a payload. You have to move it and you keep fighting each other. So if 4 survivors are gathered around, it will start pushing. Then if the opposing team comes, it starts pushing back the other way, or that stops at a standstill. And I'm assuming they're going to make it so that the killer could just one-shot people. Then you have to respawn at a certain point in time. That's pretty cool. I like it. A nice 5v5 game mode will be fantastic. The next thing on the list is the 2v8 party mode, where it's going to be 2 killers against 8 survivors. This is the classic 2v8 we've been talking about. They basically said that hooks would be removed, so it'll be interesting how everything is going to play out. That seems pretty interesting as well. I like the idea of that. The next thing on the list is hide and seek, where there'll be no generators at all, there'll be no hooks, and mores will happen when you're downed. If you stay alive for 5 minutes, you'll be able to escape through the exit gates, and the auras are revealed every couple of seconds. That sounds like a fun game mode as well. It's kind of like that prop hunt idea, but it's just hide and seek. Honestly, truly going to the roots of what Dead by Daylight used to be. So it truly will just be a hide and seek game mode. You just hide. That's it. The next one is tag, where a random survivor is picked to be the killer. If you down another player, the roles are essentially swapped, and that person you downed will now become the killer and you'll become a survivor. And then the survivors have 5 minutes, and then you escape. So if you survive for 5 minutes and no one's tagged, you all win the game, essentially. Then we have zombie tag. So this is kind of like infected, essentially, and a random survivor will be picked to be the killer. If you down a player, you end up swapping the roles, and once a survivor turns into a killer, they can't turn back. So essentially, you could have like 4 killers chasing just 1 survivor, infected, essentially. If you played any of the Call of Duties, that would be absolutely fantastic. You keep playing until 1 person's remaining, and then I guess that'll be the end of the game, or the survivor will be able to escape. Next on the list is swapped perspective. This one's pretty crazy, where killers will be able to play in 3rd person, and a survivor will be able to play in 1st person. That's pretty insane, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've been wanting like a 1st-person game mode for survivors for such a long time. Honestly, that sets up quite well for VR Dead by Daylight at some point in the future. How cool would that be? But that seems really, really nice. The next one is called Deceivers. Survivors will be working together to complete tasks before 1 or more. Deceiver can kill anyone without being discovered, and the played in rounds, and there's going to be voting in between. AKA Among Us. Among Us in DBD. You're just going to be a bunch of survivors. You got to do tasks, and if they decide to kill someone, you got to figure out who it is. I think this would be so fantastic if they brought in a game mode like this. This would be absolutely amazing. I would love to see a Deceivers game mode in this. Just look at how much, people have played Among Us. It would just be super, super cool to have something like that in DBD. The next one is called Disgustingly Scary, and it says the fog is thicker and shrouded in darkness. So I don't really know too much about this one, but it seems like a concept that I've talked about before. At least I hope they execute it that way, where the entire map is super pitch black and dark, and you got to actually use your flashlights to see around, and it'll remove some of the fog. And at the same time, essentially, if you pop generators, the lights will light up that way and you'll see some new paths. I think that'll be really cool. Hopefully that's how the game mode works. If not, it could just be super dark like old school DBD. The next one is called Luck of the Draw. You start the game with just random perks and random items. This one's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I feel like things like this would be better in a custom game, but still pretty cool. If these were just options in general, that would also be really nice. The next one is called Giant. Sizes are altered. Killers are turned into giants while survivors become tiny. We've seen some fantastic content creators pretty much do similar concepts to this. So, I mean, hey, why not actually bring it in as an official game mode into DBD? The next one is called Bum Rush. More generators will spawn on the map and everybody moves at double speed. Survivors have 3 lives, from which they revive after a 20-second timer. So it's just more gens, everything's fast. That sounds crazy. And the last one is called VIP. When the obsession is killed, everyone dies. Only the obsession can open the gates for everyone. So essentially, it's like if your friend's on your last life and everybody needs to take hits for them. I think that'll be really cool. But man, these 12 different types of game modes sound really, really good. I'm sure they've already play tested all of these already, and they just want to see which one we like the best. I honestly think that Dead by Daylight, they're going to incorporate this into a limited time game mode. And I think if they keep swapping these out, if they have these 12 ready to go and they constantly swap them out, this will be fantastic. Every 2-3 months, swapping these game modes out will keep the game alive. It'll keep the game healthy. It'll be fresh. It'll be nice. It'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I used to say, and I still stand on it, that if a lot of these game modes were just always in custom games with a ton more custom game features, it would be above and beyond, but we'll have to see exactly what they end up doing. But that's pretty much the new 12 game modes that they're playtesting. Things are subject to change. This is just in the survey. This isn't confirmed that they'll be in the game or this is going to happen, but these are the things that they sort of have their eyes on and what they've been working on. So potentially we could see some cool new game modes coming in the future. Let me know what you guys think about the game modes. Let me know what you guys think about the cross progression information. And that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. Tomorrow I have a semi-important video talking about Dead by Daylight balancing, etc. and kind of giving my thoughts and opinions on the recent OTS video. And after that, I'm pretty much going to make that other video that I've been talking about. There's a lot of videos coming. That's all you need to know. I'm not going to bore you with it, but that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe for some more awesome DVD content and news. And we have a Chucky DLC giveaway that is actually officially done tomorrow. I'll reveal all the winners for you guys. That's going to do it for me. As always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys, and we'll see you in the fog.